Violence during Ukraine's Euromaidan revolution peaked during 3 days in February 2014. The events that unfolded unified the nation, forced disgraced former President Viktor Yanukovych to flee, and set the stage for a Russian military intervention in Ukraine that began barely 1 month later. On February 18, 2014, thousands of pro-democracy protesters on Independence Square marched on Parliament, where lawmakers were preparing to introduce amendments to the Constitution to limit the authority of the president. Thousands of marchers were confronted by riot police and fights broke out. 2 blocks away, meanwhile, in Mariinsky Park, adjacent to the Parliament building, pro-government goons began beating demonstrators. At around noon, the pro-presidential Party of Regions office was set on fire. Officials next closed down the city's subway system to prevent demonstrators from reaching the city center. Police, using sound grenades, tear gas, and plastic bullets, then advanced against protesters near the presidential administration, eventually pushing them back to Independence Square. At least 26 people were killed, including 10 policemen, and dozens were injured in the melee, which lasted several hours. Police in the evening set fire and stormed the trade union building adjacent to Independence Square. Thousands of protesters remained on Independence Square throughout the night on February 19th, setting ablaze barricades on the square's perimeter to prevent riot police from advancing. Doctors from the morgue reported that scores of demonstrators had been killed and hundreds wounded, including journalists. Residents of Kyiv flocked to the square, bringing with them food and medicine. The protests quickly spread across the country, with pro-democracy activists taking control of government buildings in several regional capitals. Then acting Interior Minister Vitaly Zakharchenko gave permission to police to use firearms against protesters, and Yanukovych asked for military units to restore order in the capital. On February 20th, bloody scenes from Ukraine's capital shocked the world. Dozens of snipers atop government buildings in the city center, including the Cabinet of Ministers building and the National Bank of Ukraine, gunned down unarmed protesters, marching up Institutska Street to the presidential administration building.